Hello and welcome to another episode of today's GK. I am Pooja Dwivedi, and in this segment we are going to discuss all about objective questions from daily current affairs. So let's begin with the practice question of the last segment. Consider the following statements. National Bio-Entrepreneurship Competition is a joint initiative by BRAC and 𝐶CAM, that is Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms, and NBEC is held once in every 2 years and gives an unprecedented sum of rupees 8.5 crore in cash prize. We have to select the correct statement. If we talk about NBEC, this is a competition which is held annually and not once in 2 years. So the second statement becomes incorrect. But yes, it is a joint initiative of BRAC and 𝐶CAM. So the first statement is correct, the second is incorrect. The correct answer is option A, that is 1 only. The 5th edition of the National Bio-Entrepreneurship Competition, organized by Bengaluru-based Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms, was launched by the Secretary of Department of Biotechnology, Government of India recently, and we have discussed about the NBEC. NBEC is a national platform for bio-entrepreneurs to present their innovation, business ideas with significant societal impact in life sciences domain. We have discussed these two statements, so we shall move forward. Consider the following statements about National Gene Bank. It has the capacity to preserve about 1 million germ plasms in the form of seeds. NGB has 4 kinds of facilities to cater to the long-term as well as medium-term conservation, namely seed gene bank, cryo gene bank, in vitro gene bank, field gene bank. We have to select the correct statement. National Gene Bank has 4 categories of bank, and it is related to medium-term and long-term conservation by the name of seed gene bank, cryo gene bank, in vitro gene bank and field gene bank. It has the capacity to preserve about 1 million germ plasms in the forms of seeds. I hope you remember this question. So, selecting the correct statement, the correct answer, as I already discussed, these two are correct. The correct answer is option C, both 1 and 2. And let's look at the explanation. National Gene Bank, it was established in 1996 to preserve the seeds of plant genetic resources for future generations. It has the capacity, and that is to preserve about 1 million germ plasms in the form of seeds. It stores different crop groups such as cereals, millets, medicinal and aromatic plants, and narcotics as well. Presently, the National Gene Bank has been protecting 4.52 lakh accessions, of which 2.7 lakh are the Indian germ plasm, while the rest have been imported from other countries. NGB has 4 kinds of facilities that cater to long-term and medium-term conservation: seed gene bank, cryo gene bank, in vitro and field gene bank. Consider the following statements regarding Financial Inclusion Index. The index incorporates details of banking, investment, insurance, postal, as well as the pension sector in consultation with the government and respective sectoral regulators, and the index captures information on various aspects of financial inclusion in a single value ranging between 0 to 100, where 0 represents complete financial exclusion and 100 indicates full financial inclusion. We have to select the correct statement. Actually, both these statements are correct. The correct answer is option C, both 1 and 2. RBI has announced the formation of a composite financial inclusion index to capture the extent of financial inclusion across the country. The annual FI index will be published in July every year, and the index incorporates details of banking, investment, insuring, postal, and as well as pension sector in consultation with the government and respective sectoral regulators. One thing please keep in mind, sometimes it happens in your prelims exam, such statements could be formulated by the UPSC that very minute details could escape our attention. Don't let that happen. If I could have to form one question from here, from this statement, it could be: the index incorporates details of banking, investment, insurance, postal only. So this would be a wrong statement, right? Pension is also there. Be very careful. Sometimes even the non-blackened part, that means the non-bold part, could be asked. Okay, moving on. The index captures information on various aspects of financial inclusion in a single value ranging between 0 to 100, where 0 represents complete financial exclusion and 100 indicates full financial inclusion. Moving on, consider the following statements regarding the Academic Bank of Credit. It is envisaged as a digital bank that holds the credit earned by the student in any course. It enables students to select the course to suit their aptitude and to tailor their degrees. rather than undergoing the regularly prescribed degrees or course of a single university, and it has multi-exit and multi-entry options that will help students who have to take a break from their education for either financial or other reasons. We have to select the correct statement. Now, all these three statements are correct. The correct answer to this question is option D. The Prime Minister has launched several initiatives undertaken under the National Education Policy of 2020, including Academic Bank of Credit and the Artificial Intelligence Program, to make the youth future-oriented and open the way for an AI-driven economy. Academic Bank of Credit is envisaged as a digital bank that holds the credit earned by student in any course. A University Grants Commission notification said that the Academic Bank of Credits will enable the students to select the best courses or combination of courses to suit their aptitude and tailor their degrees or make specific modification or specialization rather than undergoing the rigid, regularly prescribed degree or courses of a single university. The multi-exit and multi-entry options will help those students who have to take a break from their education for either financial or other reasons. Moving on. Recently, the Declaration and Program of Action on a Culture of Peace was seen in the news, and it was adopted by which of the following bodies? It was adopted by United Nations General Assembly. The correct answer is option A. Let's move on to the explanation. Culture of Peace session organized by the UN General Assembly. The UN has organized such sessions each year since 1997, and the Declaration and Program of Action on a Culture of Peace was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on September 30, 1999. This occurred after 10 months of negotiation in the context of preparation for the International Year of Cultures of Peace. Moving on, consider the following statements regarding the National Mission on Himalayan Studies. It functions under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. The mission specifically targets the Indian Himalayan region and biodiversity hotspots of India. We have to select the correct statement. This mission, National Mission on Himalayan Studies, does come under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, but it is dealing only with the Himalayan region, Indian Himalayan region, and not biodiversity hotspots. So the correct answer to this question is option A, that is one only. The National Mission on Himalayan Studies under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India is a classic case in point that provides funds for research and technological innovations, but creating policies only for the Indian Himalayan region. Ultimate goal is to improve the quality of life and maintain ecosystem health of the region to ensure long-term ecological security of the country. The mission specifically targets the Indian Himalayan region, which spreads across 13 Indian states and union territories, namely Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura, Assam, West Bengal, which stretch across 2,500 km. Moving on, consider the following statements with respect to corals. Corals are made up of genetically identical organisms called polyps. These polyps have microscopic algae known as zooxanthellae living within their tissues, and the corals and algae have a relationship between them that is based on commensalism. We have to select the incorrect statement. So yes, corals are made of genetically identical organisms known as polyps, and these polyps house the microscopic algae known as zooxanthellae, which lives within the polyps. But the relationship of the corals and algae is not based on commensalism but mutualism or symbiotic relation. Commensalism is basically when two species, between the relationship of the two species, one benefits and other is at a disadvantage, but both the algae is benefiting from corals by being housed, and the corals are also being benefited by the algae for the nutrients and the colors. So it's a symbiotic relationship because both are actually benefiting, or mutualistic relationship. So the first and the second being correct, the third being incorrect. The correct answer to this question is option D, that is 3 only. Specialized immune cells exist in certain varieties of sea corals and anemones found on new studies. These cells help understand how the organisms protect themselves from viruses and bacteria in the marine ecosystem. We have discussed the statement, so we shall move forward, and the second also and the third also. Now the coral provides zooxanthellae with the compounds necessary for photosynthesis. In return, the zooxanthellae supplies the coral with organic products of photosynthesis, that is the nutrients, which is like carbohydrates, that is used by the coral polyps for the synthesis of their calcium carbonate skeletons. Moving on, consider the following statements with respect to the recent nuclear fusion breakthrough. In the experiment, lasers were used to heat a small target or fuel pellets. These pellets containing lithium and tritium fused and produced more energy. We have to select the correct statement. So these pellets, yes, lasers were used to heat a small target of fuel pellets. This is correct. And these pellets did not contain lithium but deuterium, and with the help of tritium as well. So first being correct, the second being incorrect. The correct answer is option A. Okay. If we talk about the recent experiments, the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California had announced that an experiment carried out in its National Ignition Facility has made a breakthrough in nuclear fusion research. In this experiment, lasers were used to heat a small target or fuel pellets, and these pellets containing deuterium and tritium fused and produced more energy. The team noted that they were able to achieve a yield of more than 1.3 megajoules, and nuclear fusion is actually defined as the combining of several small nuclei into one large nucleus. That is why it is called fusion, with the subsequent release of huge amount of energy. Nuclear fusion powers our sun, and harnessing this fusion energy could provide an unlimited amount of renewable energy. Moving on, consider the following statements with respect to Kigali Amendment. The Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol is legally binding. It is for the phase down of hydrofluorocarbons by cutting their production and consumption. We have to select the correct statement. We have today covered the Kigali Amendment in our in-news. If you have watched that, you will be able to answer this question. So yes, the Kigali Amendment, which was done in the year 2016, has been recently ratified by India. That is yesterday only, and this is legally binding. Also, it is for the phasing down of hydrofluorocarbons by cutting their consumption and manufacturing. So the correct answer to this question is option C, both 1 and 2. Following similar decisions by the United States and China in the past few months, India on Wednesday decided to ratify a key amendment to the 1989 ozone-saving Montreal Protocol negotiated 5 years ago. This amendment was done on 15th of October 2016, and 198 countries adopted an amendment to phase down hydrofluorocarbons under the Montreal Protocol in Kigali, Rwanda, which is the capital of Rwanda. The Kigali Amendment aims for the phasing down of hydrofluorocarbons by cutting their production and consumption, and the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol is also legally binding. Moving on, consider the following statements with respect to Collegium system and judiciary. In the second judge's case, 1993, the Supreme Court introduced the Collegium system. It held that consultation doesn't mean concurrence. In the third judge's case, the Supreme Court precedent's reference expanded the Collegium to a 5-member body comprising the CGI, that is the Chief Justice of India, and 4 of his senior-most colleagues. We have to select the correct statement. Yes, in the second judge's case, the Supreme Court introduced the Collegium system, okay, for appointments and transfer of judges, and it held in the same judgment that consultation does mean, it really means concurrence. That means CGI's opinion will only be taken into account if the concurrence is there, agreement is there between the different members of the Collegium. So the second statement is incorrect. The third statement is correct, that by the precedent's reference, the Supreme Court in the third judge's case expanded the Collegium to a 5-member body comprising CGI and 4 of his senior members. And which of the statements we had to select the correct one? Okay, so first and the third is correct. The correct answer to this question is option B. The Supreme Court Collegium headed by the CGI, that is Chief Justice of India, N.V. Ramana, is learned to have recommended 9 names to the government on Tuesday for the appointment as judges to the top court, and the list has 3 women judges, including one who could become the first woman Chief Justice of India. The Collegium system is the system of appointment and transfer of judges that has evolved through judgments of the SC, that is Supreme Court, and not by an act of the Parliament or by a provision of the Constitution. In the first judge's case of 1981, the Supreme Court declared the primacy of the Chief Justice of India recommendation on judicial appointments and transfers can be refused for cogent reasons. And in the second judge's case, SC, that is Supreme Court, introduced the Collegium system. It held that consultation really meant concurrence. It added that it was not the CJI's individual opinion, but an institutional opinion formed in consultation with two senior-most judges of the Supreme Court. In the third judge's case of 1998, SC on precedent's reference expanded the Collegium into a 5-member body comprising of the CJI and 4 of his senior-most colleagues. The SC Collegium is headed by the CJI and comprises 4 other senior-most judges of this court. Moving on, consider the following statements with respect to National Human Rights Commission. The chairperson and the other members of the NHRC are appointed for 5 years or till the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. It is a multi-member body which consists of a chairman and 10 other members. We have to select the incorrect statement. Okay, the chairperson and the members of the NHRC, they are appointed for either 5 years or 70 years, or if the members are achieving the age of 70 years, either 5 years or 70 years. So, NHRC is a multi-member body which consists of a chairperson and 7 other members and not 10. Okay, just keep this in mind. So, none of them being correct. Okay, we had to select the incorrect one. Both are incorrect. The correct answer is option C. A Delhi-based human rights think tank has appealed to the NHRC to ensure protection of Afghan nationals who have fled the war-torn nation to India in the wake of the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan and grant them refugee status. NHRC is a multi-member body which consists of a chairperson and 7 other members. Out of the 7 members, 3 are ex officio members. The President appoints the chairman and the member of NHRC on the recommendation of high-powered committee headed by Prime Minister. The chairperson and the members of the NHRC are appointed for 5 years or till the age of 70 years. They can be removed only on the charges of proved misbehavior or incapacity if proved by an inquiry conducted by the Supreme Court judge. Moving on to the practice question. Consider the following statements regarding contract for the web sometimes seen in the news. It is a legal document endorsed by the World Wide Web Foundation to address issues of political manipulation, fake news, privacy violations and other malign forces on the internet, and protecting people's privacy and personal data to build online trust is one of its principles. We have to select the correct statement. So, I hope you'll be answering it correctly in the comment segment. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.